pretend to believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see, we've been volleyballed all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball.
Why, hello there. Welcome into Volleyball'd. I'm Carlos,
And I'm Allison.
and we're the Medinas, and we're now kind of into the season. We've now had an experience. I guess we haven't gotten a chance to podcast for a couple of weeks because it's been a little bit wild. I had a vacation to Tennessee. You had one to the Georgia World Congress Center. It's awesome.
And it's December with packing and wrapping and being jolly all the time.
all the time.
All the time.
In fact, we had, 2 chorus performances, a school play with, I think our oldest did 4 or 5. I know we went to 2 performances, but I think she was in 4 or 5 of them. So we're finally getting around to getting the podcast out. So thank you for being a little bit patient with us.
Don't forget midterms ×2.
Oh, yeah, that also was going on. Today's episode, we're getting a chance to talk with Carlos Luna, and he is the owner, the founder, the director of Luna Volleyball in, technically it's Plano, Texas, but it's the Dallas area. And why was it such a big deal for us to get him? We wanted to talk to him about a program that he launched back last month, and it kind of took off from there, where it was about coaching parents on how to handle the club volleyball season. And I think part of our podcast is always geared towards that, about what's coming, how do you handle some of the challenges. And for most of it, what we do is logistically. He tries to coach you up on what to expect as a parent when you know we're already a little crazy to start with.
Yeah, every part of your life, you train yourself up if you're not good at something, right? Like when we went to buy our first home, we read a lot of books. We listened to podcasts. We did things to better our knowledge so that we could be more financially savvy and making. We haven't done any of that for volleyball. We've been flying on a wing and a prayer for 7 years now. And yeah, we built a base of knowledge, but we're not experts. We don't know what we're doing half the time, probably like most of you listening. You just take advice from other parents and try to make the best of what you got.
I think it hit me, the whole idea of trying to train yourself up to what you're going to have coming your way when it comes to club volleyball. I thought about it the last time that I purchased a car for us, because I did more research going down the YouTube rabbit hole and how to work with dealerships and what their goals are and what you have to ask. I did more work on purchasing a car than I have on how I handle my daughter's volleyball seasons. And that was a blind spot as far as mentally how you need to go into the season and how you need to support the athlete, while also knowing that there are going to be times where you're probably going to be, along with the athlete, pretty frustrated. It's going to happen at some point.
And thank you for that research, honey. I really love my new car.
You're welcome. Not a problem. That's what I'm here for. So without further ado, let's get over to Carlos Luna. Joining us now on Volleyball'd. Typically, my introductions take just a couple of seconds, but it's going to be a little bit more extensive because this man is the owner and founder of Luna Volleyball Academy in Dallas. We're talking to somebody who's been in 3 Olympic cycles, including the 2008 games in Beijing. He's played professionally in over 10 countries. This man is Carlos Luna, and he has an event coming up on January 3rd that we're going to tell you a little bit more about. But Carlos, did I try and cover most of it? I mean, you've done a lot in the sport of volleyball.
Yeah, but you did a good job.
I got to ask you, I mean, that's a very impressive resume. Carlos was showing me last night. My Carlos, we got 2 Carloses. I'm just going to be like, Carlos 1, Carlos 2. How many languages do you speak?
4 languages.
I knew it.
Yes.
I knew it. There's no way to live in that many countries. It's incredible.
Yeah,
what life experience?
Like, my wife is a military brat, and she spent time in South Korea and Germany, and so she knows a little bit about that. Looking at your bio, all the places that volleyball took you as a guy living in Venezuela to then going around the world. I mean, I'd have to imagine that one professional league to the next, it turns into, okay, how do I communicate with the people I need to communicate with from season to season?
Yeah, absolutely. Living in different countries, so many different countries, getting to know people from so many different cultures, different ways to do things, different foods, different weather, different. I mean, I've seen everything, and it amazed me how different we are, but at the same time how similar we are on the basic things that sometimes we forget that at the end of the day, we're human beings and we all need to be treated with dignity. And, so I've seen everything. I've seen them, I would say a big range of things in so many different aspects. But as I say, at the end of the day, what stick with me is that it doesn't matter what country I was in, what, culture I was messed with. I always came out with learning that it's amazing to be in this world, and it's amazing to have this life that God gave it to us, and it's amazing how we can help other people regardless where we are and who we are and what we do.
Well, let's talk about that. Carlos Luna is our guest. You talked about, treatment of others, and you talked about how you're looking to help others. Obviously, as somebody who runs a club, you deal with a lot of young people, you deal with a lot of families. Your event that you have coming up on January 3rd is really about coaching those parents, about the fundamentals under pressure. Talk about it just from a parent perspective, because you have two players, what it's like to be the volleyball parent, but then to also have to look at things as a coach as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I'm getting better, to be honest, to be a dad or to be a parent, not just on the sport side, because obviously I know about the sport, but in general about the parent dynamic is, and always it's a challenge when you are not just the parent, but also the coach and also the club director. So the normal dynamic the parent has, I don't live that 100% just because, again, I wear so many different hats, and sometimes parents are a little bit, I'm not gonna say reserved. It's just, they have their own group chat, and I get that because, again, I guess they don't want me to be involved on all the little, details and all the chatting that happens on the parent groups. But it's a challenge that I embrace with big responsibility. And the reason why I was the other day thinking about how many like parents we invest in our kids in club fees and private lessons, clinics, and you name it. Like the list is huge of the expenses that we have. Well, not expenses, the investment, because at the end of the day, this is investment. Even though people see this as expenses, and that's why sometimes parents get a little bit lost on what we really do for our kids. But there is not really much we parents can invest in ourselves as far as getting coached, because the same way kids are coached and the same way they have to be coached to perform and have a good experience on the court, we parents also need to be prepared, because it's tough. Like the pressure we deal in a daily basis as a club volleyball parents is something that we need to be prepared. Otherwise, we wanna pretty easy get out of course, and we are taking our child also with that. So that is why I came up with this idea, and I was thinking, Carlos, for quite a couple of years about how I can help parents navigate club volleyball and be prepared so they don't overreact. They know what is going on and off the court, so we can better help our kids have a good experience.
Carlos, when I learned we were doing this interview with you, it took me back to a few years ago. We acquired a new puppy during COVID, and this dog was a menace. She was just very hyper. When she didn't get her way, she was nibbling at you. She was becoming a bit of a terror in the house. So we invested in puppy training, dog training.
Right.
I remember the very first day, the trainer said, "We are not here to train your dogs. We are here to train you." The parents of the dogs. We are here to teach you how to properly communicate to the dog, how to properly handle the dog, what to do and not to do to get the best reactions, the best behavior, the best performance even out of your animal. And not that our players are dogs, that we need to think about it that way, but that changed my thinking.
We need the training.
We need to know what the heck we're doing out here because, a lot of us, some of us played pretty high level sports, elite sports, maybe even collegiate sports, but there's things that are so different now in terms of nutrition, in terms of injury, in terms of recovery, things that just didn't even exist 20 years ago when we were doing this. And trying to manage all of it, it really does feel like a full-time job sometimes, while also trying to keep our mental and emotional sanity. So my question to you would be, as we're learning and training and trying to better ourselves as parents, we're heading into club tournament season. I mean, January, we're all hitting the ground running, right?
Yep.
What would you say is the number one mistake volleyball parents make going into that first tournament of the year?
Without doubt, expectations, I would say most of parents don't have clear expectations of what to expect from their kids, from coaches, from clubs. I think the main reason is because lack of information, and that managing expectation is the main reason. And then obviously playing time. I mean, we know that playing time is the number one subject on all these parent teams. But taking out the playing time, I would say more important is managing expectation. So I think parents have to be more clear, and club directors and coaches also need to do a better job of setting the clear expectation. And honestly, expectation happens not on the first tournament. Expectation happens on tryouts. So the more clear parents are on tryouts, and then if they're not clear on tryouts, they have several months to be clear on what they have to expect for the tournaments. I think that's the biggest one. Once they are clear, or we are clear of what to expect, is my daughter playing? Is my daughter not playing? Is my son in a rotation? What is going on? Is my son a developmental player? Is my son? Is my daughter? So just getting clear on that, I believe, is important, and not just in the playing time. I would say just in general. Our clubs, fulfilling what they promise? Are we getting the coaches that we got promised? Are we getting the right training? Are we in the tournament that we're supposed to be? I mean, all that. I mean, at the end of the day, expectation for me is the single biggest thing that we all need to be on the same page.
Carlos Luna is our guest. He's the owner and founder of Luna Volleyball Academy in Dallas, a 10-year professional and a 2008 Olympian with the Venezuelan national team. Carlos, let me ask you this, because we talk about managing those expectations with parents and what goes on as we get into January. We've been at a club where we're able to watch practice all the time, but the coaching staff does not provide us any sort of feedback. We've been at another club where you can't watch any practice, but yet the coaches are very open and honest about how they plan to use your player. Is there a happy medium? Is there somewhere where you want parental involvement, but not too much parental involvement, but you also want to set that expectation of how much discussion you're having with the player, with the parents, as to what the plan is, what the roadmap is for that player?
Yeah, it's important. I think the dynamics that happen before the tournament season start is important. And I know sometimes it's a challenge, especially here, for example, here in Dallas. High school season is heavy. So if your child plays in high school, like especially varsity, that is a little bit of a challenge because most of those teams don't practice until the season is over, late November, even December, and a lot of teams don't start playing until January. So I think that creates a little bit of a challenge, but there is always a room for having coaches communicate. And this is something that as a club director, I encourage my coaches to do, to have a weekly, check-in with parents and just reading the room. Like one thing that coaches needs to do in order to, being lined up with what you're saying, is just to read the room. And if we feel there is something off and there is something that need to be communicated, so our athletes are clear on what are the roles are and how are we gonna we're planning on using them. I mean, for the most part, coaches, we are good at reading body languages. So when we feel there is something that needs to be communicated, so we are on the same page, we have to do it. And I think that's where sometimes coaches overlook that and don't, I would say, are not diligent at doing the work of communicating with parents. So, but it's important what you're saying. It's important that before the tournament happens, we can anticipate those conversations that we'll have after the tournament. So, and a lot of times we can do that. It's just a matter of, again, stay engaging with that group parent chats, stay engaging with that kid that feels like it's not like 100% engaged or it's not clear on the role, it's not clear on the culture of the team, it's not clear on the vision of the team. So again, it's just about getting engaged with the parents and their kids.
I would love to hear your advice on, I think we've all dealt with the tough tournament loss and how to speak to our kids after. But
Brutal.
honestly, it's the little losses, Carlos. Like I had a tough practice today. Coach was hard on me. Something's hurting. Those moments in the car on the drive home from practice where they're either fighting back tears or fully sob screaming at us, telling us how bad practice was. Those are the moments that I feel like I need a guidebook to coach my daughter through that moment. I would love to hear what are the right things to say to get your kid feeling good about themselves again.
It's tough. I mean, I've been there. I remember those days when my son. So I was sharing the other day in the training that my son, the first club volleyball season, he spent like a total. I'm not talking about in a set. I'm not talking about in a game. I'm not talking about in a tournament. I'm talking about the whole season. He plays a total of 1 hour. So that was his playing time the first season. So, and yes, we have a lot of those, car conversations about practices and all of that. So, and one thing that I realized is that when we don't let them like express, like sometimes we feel their performance is because of their fault or they should do a better job at hitting that ball. I mean, sometimes we feel like our kids could do a better job. I mean, I think that's something that we want for our kids. So we want our kids to be their best they can be. And when they don't perform and we know they should do something different or better, if you will, sometimes we kind of like rush towards that conclusion. And sometimes our kids, they just need a space. Sometimes they just need somebody to listen, somebody to just to listen because and I think this happened just going back to the normal, situation. I think that happens with our spouse. It happened more with the women than the men. The women, they like to be here more. They like to be like they express more. They are more tend to show their feelings and talk and they just expect from the husband, for us, the men, just to listen, just to be there for them. And I think something similar happened with our kids. So one thing that you have to let your kids know when they are struggling after a tough game, after a tough practice, after a coach being hard on them, is to, no matter what, you are on their side. You are with them. You value them, all the effort. You respect them, and the most important word is that you love them.
Carlos Luna is our guest. He's the owner, the founder, the club director of Luna Volleyball Academy in Dallas. played professionally in over 10 countries, and a 2008 Olympian with the Beijing Games with the Venezuelan national team. So I want to follow up on that because my wife and I, because with your event coming up on January 3rd, you talk about pressure protocol and talking to parents on how to handle players. One of the issues that we have had with our 14, soon to be 15-year-old daughter is when they have the tough loss, at times she's so upset. That team that she's been on the last couple of years, they don't lose a ton. And when they do, she's very upset. So what we've had to do, Carlos, we have decided that there's going to be a 10-minute rule where mom doesn't approach you, dad doesn't approach you. We know we love you, but in a similar way, the professional athletes get a few minutes to cool down before they have to show up to the podium. We've started to institute that so that she has a few minutes to get herself back to normal. What do you think about that as a professional, as a father, as a club director, that parents try to find what exactly works so that we can take that pressure they're under and at least take it down a notch before we start interacting again?
That's 100% correct. And I would say not 2 minutes, not 10 minutes, whatever it takes, because every athlete process the hard moments differently. I was one of those guys that when I had a hard game, especially at the beginning of my career, I stayed for days, like thinking about that mistake. And I got better on that as I mature. But you have to get to know your kid because, again, some athletes, after 5 minutes, they'll be okay. Others will take a little bit longer. So the same way I say earlier about coaches reading the room and reading the body language, I think they will tell you when they're ready to get back to normal. So let them process whatever they have to process. Again, this is something that we don't have to rush because I know that sometimes we want to rush and sometimes we must rush because if you are in a 2-3 day tournament, yes, you have to move forward. But as much as I would like to get them fast on this, we have to let them process whatever their feelings are. We have to, after that, so one good strategy is to teach them so they can learn to process that faster because as an elite athlete, one thing that you have to do definitely is to have a short memory, whether you have a good moment, whether you have a big win or you lost. You got to move forward because the next set is going to happen in a few minutes. The next game is going to happen in a couple of hours. The next tournament is going to happen in a couple of days. So we don't really have much time to process, but we have to let them process and we have to teach them how to process.
We're finding in moving into the teen years, the struggle to teach our children the balance of volleyball with social life with academics, right? So we've said to them, well, you're going to have to miss this social event because you have practice, but on the next breath I'll say, but you have to miss this test because you have a tournament. So it's hard to clarify to them that we think all of them are important for them, but sometimes one trumps the other. Where do you stand on that? How do you balance the academics with them having a life outside of volleyball and then the priorities they have to become better as volleyball players?
Yeah, it's a challenge. My daughter is in IB as a freshman, and she made varsity, so I know what you're talking about. But yeah, it's a tough thing. Is something that we need to just managing our time, and the more aware they are about how important it is for them to plan their day, the better. But yeah, the time management is something that they have to. It's part of their development because when they go to college, it's not going to be different. It's part of their development that they have to balance academics. And if they know that they have this room there, they have to do the homework on that room. That is not the time for do something different. And as far as social life, yes, 100%. We have to find them, make them to find room to socialize, to have a non-volleyball moment because it's important. It's important, the balance. It's important for them to just get away from volleyball, from especially when the season is over during the summer. A lot of parents sometimes they think that more is best, but there is a moment. So the athlete needs time to recover, not just physically but mentally. So having those moments, especially during the summer on the downtime, when the season is off, but also during the season, just finding the time to plan that dinner together, to plan that movie theater, and just to to that teenager age, they gonna start going with their friends and all of that. And I know if they're playing in a high level team, that is a big of the challenge. But again, it's important to balance everything. It's very important.
We're just counting the days until she gets her driver's license because right now we're basically Uber drivers to all of these events.
and we have a younger one. We have a soon to be 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. So it's pretty much all right. Where what part of town are we at that particular day?
So Carlos,
Yeah.
you played all over the world, so I have to imagine you've had some of the best coaching yourself in the world from some pretty amazing coaches. What would you say is the best advice you ever received from a coach?
Control what you can control. Be the best that you can be. Compete against yourself. Don't compete against others. I think that's the biggest advice that I get. And yes, I got huge mentors. The first one was from Cuba, David Suarez. He got bronze medal in the Montreal 76 or 78, I think 76 Olympics. And then I got another huge coach in Italy. My first pro season in 2000, Mauro Berruto. He was also the coach from Italy on the Rio 2016 Olympics. And Kiko Blengini, he's the Bulgari head coach now. He was the assistant coach on that team that I played my first season as a pro. So they always, again, from these three coaches, I get this advice combined. Control what you can control, compete against yourself, and be the best that you can be. Those advice stick with me, especially when you're young. A lot of times players, they think they're competing against the opponent or against their teammates. And that's normal. I think that's the nature of competitiveness, but the ultimate competitiveness is against ourselves.
Well, Carlos, I think that's an awesome note to finish on. Again, we'll have a link within the podcast for your event coming up on January 3rd at 10 o'clock Central Time. Pressure and fundamentals under pressure, not just coaching up your player, but coaching up the parents and how the parents need to be able to handle this going into club season. Do you have any other socials that you want to go ahead and promote, that you want to get on out there for the audience, how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can follow me in Instagram as a Luna Volleyball, and obviously in my Facebook account. And my website is Luna Online Volleyball Academy, so they can learn more about my work that I'm doing as a parent. But yes, I'm excited for this training for the parents. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be something unique. I don't think there's much of parent training out there, and I'm very excited to share this with the parents.
Again, I'm glad you're able to join our podcast. It's geared so much towards parents. The amount of feedback that we get from parents and the amount of times where they suggest topics. This was one of those. As I've been trying to reach out to you for the last couple of weeks, everybody's been very busy. I'm glad we were able to finally make time to make this thing happen. So thank you so much, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos. See you guys.
All right, so there he goes. And I will tell you, I wrote down a couple things during the interview. I loved when you have a former Olympian and a guy who played everywhere from Greece to Central and South America, all through Europe. I love that he said elite athletes have to have a short memory. I love that idea because the term that we use in our house is next ball. Whatever happens, good or bad, get ready. Here comes another ball. Next ball. I love that his mentality, even at a professional and an Olympic level, is you can't dwell one way or another on anything.
And he talked about that word I love so much again, culture. He was talking about it from a perspective of actually playing in different countries. You're literally immersed in a completely new culture that you've not been in before. But that completely applies to your team, your club, and where you choose to spend your time and your money.
And another aspect of what Carlos Luna brought up, he said the athlete needs to recover not just physically, but mentally. I think that's important. I brought this up quite a bit now. It was a little different for us last June and July because our oldest had a broken foot. So that the recovery was going to happen. She couldn't do anything else other than be in a boot. But I think there's always this push from parents at times, especially when we get into that AAU and nationals time at USAV, where you keep saying, I have to get them in the club, I have to get them into training, they're about to play 20-some matches in the span of about a week. Get them off their feet. And so I loved hearing an Olympian talk about they need the time, not just physically, but mentally, to be able to just chill and take it easy.
That's what it's all about, listening to your body and listening to your athlete tell you what's wrong with her body and not pushing them too far.
And I also loved his message about compete against yourself. Oftentimes the club scenario is, who's the other player across from me? Is she on the ones, the twos, or threes? What player do I have to take their job? And on Olympian, it was compete against yourself. Everything else will work from there.
Yeah. What's your new PR? That's right.
Yeah. What is your new personal record? What are you doing that's going to take care of you reaching those goals? All right. So that's going to do it for us. I think we're going to be back next week at some point. I was asked if we want to record with a professional coach next week. And the problem is we're going to be out of town. We're going to be in Alabama.
We're going to be living in a zoo for a couple days with multiple cousins, multiple family members, and their pets all housed up in the same facility. But sure, yeah, we can make that work.
So my question is, do we bring the recording equipment and try and do this from your parents' home? I hadn't even gotten a chance to tell you about this.
No, I can see that. We're going to have to talk about that. Maybe wake up at 5 a.m. before everyone's up and running. It's basically like the scene from Home Alone the night before they leave for the airport. That's the house every day during Christmas at my parents' house.
All right. So Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Take us on out.
My personal advice for all the moms over 40 over there, as you're wrapping those last minute Christmas Eve presents, please, 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 for the love of God, do not do it on the floor hunched over because you will be paying for it through February. Use the dining room table, ladies.
Today is gonna be the day that we run out of cash. Watching every serve and kill, it's a total smash. By now you should have somehow realized what we've lost. Our free time's gone, it's all for volleyball at any cost. I tend to believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyball'd all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. Backbeat, the word is on the street that we're broke again. Entrance fees for tournaments our girls already in. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but we're at the bar, drinking through the overwhelm. No life beyond this far. Don't believe that anybody feels the way we do about the nets and all the chaos we're stuck into. And all the roads we drive, all the stakes you see. We've been volleyballed all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. And all the lights that lead us there are blinding. The hotel nights, the drinks, they keep us finding a way to cope with all this endless grind. Oh, we're trapped, no life outside. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyballed all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. Today was gonna be the day, but we're still here. Volleyball, oh volleyball. I don't believe that anybody feels the way we do.